Hello and welcome back to another episode of Uncut Long War 2. I have some bad news for everyone. I lost my first attempt at beating Long War 2 on Legend difficulty. But if I'm being perfectly honest, I'm not surprised. Attempting to beat a mod that increases the difficulty of an already challenging game on the highest difficulty without thoroughly reading the instruction manual is not a very good idea. Anyway, even though I lost the war, this playthrough series is far from over. We're picking things up from the same month we left off, and already things are looking a lot brighter. Speaking of things looking brighter, there are way less dark events active this time around, and it's partly because of intel. The main mechanic I was taking for granted that has a tremendous effect on how difficult or easy missions will be is intelligence gathering and resistance haven management. If you've played the Long War 2 mod at all, then you know you can allocate different duties to your resistance personnel. They all have different value, but intel, especially in the early game, is the most important resource. Throughout the bulk of this new game, my resistance members have been tracking Advent's social media presence, and we've been having a lot more success, both infiltrating normal missions and countering dark event missions. Squad composition and squad management is another thing I took for granted in my first playthrough. In the base game, swapping groups of soldiers around based on who's wounded and who's available is fine. In Long War 2, I found that sending specific squads or squad compositions on certain mission types and only those mission types was better than mixing and matching based on who was available. Squad composition in Long War 2 goes hand in hand with understanding the demands of the different missions. The changes made to the tactical game for Long War 2 are subtle, but they have huge effects on how missions play out. Cover destruction, or the lack thereof in Long War 2, is a big deal, and even though I knew about it, I wasn't taking it seriously enough. In the base game, you can blow up half a continent with a single frag grenade. With this mod installed, you're lucky to knock down an IKEA shelf with an entire complement of grenades. With that said, there are ways around that and plenty of Long War specific tools that can alleviate the lack of boom in conventional grenades. Another thing I've noticed is the value of support grenades, smokes, and flashbangs. To my knowledge, they haven't been changed from the base game, but because cover is so much more effective, their effects can feel more potent. A disoriented Advent trooper trying to attack an Xcom operative in full cover is suffering from an aim penalty of -45 from the cover and -25 from the disorient. Add in some red fog and whatever innate defense your soldier has, and you're basically invincible. At this point, I feel comfortable saying I've thoroughly adjusted to the changes that Long War 2 brings to Xcom 2. But that doesn't mean I didn't go digging in the INI files for my own sanity and enjoyment. I was finding that the tactical gameplay changes in tandem with the base timers on certain missions were drastically limiting the options that were available in any given situation. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Rob, if you can't beat the missions on Legend with the timers, just lower the difficulty or get good. And to that, I say I will do what I want with my INI files, sir and or madam, and you can't stop me. Seriously though, hear me out. On a timed mission on Legend difficulty, you get between 8 and 12 turns to get in, complete an objective, and get the hell out. That's plenty of time if and only if the map is laid out just right and Advent hasn't deployed a field of civilians and flying toasters of doom to block your pathing. I was finding that on most missions, I was either having to sneak through, bang the objective, and rush out without engaging a single enemy, or throw in the towel because I didn't get lucky with the placement of a few parcels, and that felt wrong. Xcom 2 has stealth mechanics, and the rewards for utilizing them effectively are high, but the default timers on Long War 2 on Legend difficulty were feeling more like a hindrance on my options than an interesting mechanic that forces complex choices. I'll put it to you this way. I've seen people on Reddit suggest sending in small squads of shinobi to rescue prisoners or VIP quickly and silently. I've done that multiple times without breaking a sweat. I've also attempted to break prisoners out the old-fashioned way, with shotguns, grenades, and gremlins. Most of the time that felt like a wrong decision instead of a different one. I would gun my way to the prison cell, have 2 turns left on the clock, open the door, only to realize the VIP and my favorite soldiers were 3 turns away from the evac zone that was arbitrarily placed halfway across the universe. My point is, I know there's an officer command called intervention that extends the timer by 2 turns at the cost of 10 intel. That doesn't change my opinion about the base Long War timers on Legend feeling overly restrictive instead of interesting. So with that said, stay tuned because there's more Uncut Long War 2 on the horizon, and there are plenty of soldiers that need to be recruited and introduced.